Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you a video on the ultimate Crit Driftsmelt melee build. The best for elemental and raw meta. So this video explores the best critical Driftsmelt melee build backed by data. Data is good, data driven is important. If you don't have data, when someone calls you out on it, what do you have to provide? This Driftsmelt melee build is so flexible you can use it for both raw and elemental builds. That's right, you can use this for an all-purpose, everything kind of build, and you'll never have to switch on to anything else. However, here is its disclaimer. Drift smelting is expensive and time-consuming. If you are going to give advice, make sure it is backed by data. Notice how I use the word data a lot, because if you're going to recommend something that's super hard and super luck-based to anyone, you should tell them and give them, hey, this is what it says. It's really good. Instead of, oh, you trust me, bro, that this is good. Because if you don't have anything to back it, like I mentioned, what do you fall back on? And it sure sucks to tell your friend to use the second best or the worst thing in the game when they could have been using something that is factually the best, and they were actually close to being there. But yeah, it's expensive, time consuming. Do not give advice if you aren't good at putting the data together. There's a reason why you have builds and a lot of people that spend time with builds so that they can tell you how to do these things. But don't do the whole trust me bro thing. Make sure it is backed by data. Alright, we're gonna jump right into it. Here is the build backed by data. This build provides the highest practical theoretical damage assessment for both raw and elemental, while Coral Puke Puke Helmet provides lock-on. Some of the builds I've seen out there are like, give up lock-on. No, you don't want to give up lock-on, especially if you're using weakness exploit. It's such a useful tool. Unless you're an absolute god at full aim mode, which I'm not, and I'm pretty sure 90% of you aren't, you're going to give up a lot of potential damage because you're not going to be able to lock on to the weak spot of the monster, the weak part. So that's why Coral Puke Puke Helmet is so good. At grade 8, you unlock the Driftsmelt slot, all of its skills, and you have lock-on with it. For the second build you see right here with the, you could Driftsmelt 5 times elemental attack in all slots. With the ability to have 10 skills per armor piece, you can put all elemental attack types on each piece. So you can put fire, water, thunder, and ice. Sadly, you can't put dragon on it because there's no dragon attack. But you can put the other 4, and it's likely that the monster you are fighting has a secondary weakness other than dragon, so you could just use the other elemental weakness instead of dragon. But right here, as you see for the second build, right here, with elemental dripstones, you could put 5 times of any elemental attack and max out elemental attack for whatever element you're looking for, which is awesome. In addition, the raw driftstone build uses 1 times crit and weakness exploit to max out both of the critical chance skills. The rest of the slots can be filled with bursts. So here we have a maxed out weakness exploit, critical eye, and you have burst 3 for the remaining slots right here on the third build right here. So with raw driftones, 1 critical eye, and weakness exploit, you can create weakness exploit 5 and critical eye 5 along with 3 levels of burst, which you'll see in a bit is backed by data as the strongest builds with any of the possible combinations using affinity and critical boost. To use this build, you need the Coral Puke Puke Helmet at grade 8, the RATHALOS Mail at grade 8, the AZURE RATHALOS Fan Braces at grade 6. Thankfully, you just need them at grade 6 because at grade 5 you unlock the Driftsmelt slot, the Pink Rothian Coil at grade 8, and the Kulu Yaku Greaves at grade 8. And now to prove how this is factually the best build, backed by data. The data evidence why this is the best build. For this data comparison, we are using the Rathalos Longsword and the Black Diablos Dual Blades. Thanks to MHN.Quest, the Megan website, by the way, that's going to be in the video description, we can compare this ultimate build versus every other relevant combination. My ultimate crit build beats the other relevant elemental builds by 100 plus theoretical practical damage points. Another person was promoting another build, and that's going to be on the next one. But in addition, it also beats the other relevant raw builds by 200 plus theoretical practical damage points. Someone else was promoting another build. As you see, it's the one below it. You have critical boost 4, crit eye 5, weakness exploit 5, and burst 1. Here's the thing though, that's not the best build. That's clickbait. That's misinformation. You want to know why? Because my build factually beats that one by 140 plus points. So And it also beats 200 plus. As you see, it beats a lot of the other relevant combinations by 200 plus points, is what I mean by 200 plus points. But yeah, this is the proof and the backing and the research of why this is the best one. It beats all the other ones factually by data, and it is the best one. It is undisputed, and there's nothing else that beats it per se. After putting every other relevant combination with all of the affinity plus critical boosts, you get this. Speaking of this is why you shouldn't build the Lucky Lunar Mask or AZURE Rathalos Waste. We have crit boost versus crit chance, so sometimes more damage isn't worth the chance you give up for it. The thing about it is that if you use the crit boost build, you have to give up lock on, and if you want to put lock on, you have to put the Black Diablos coil in the place of the waste slot. And if you want level crit boost 5, level 5, you need to give up lock on altogether, which is a terrible idea. As we see per the data, there is no evidence to even support that it's a good idea to invest in the Lunar Mask or the AZURE Rathalos Waste. In fact, critical boost level 2 beats all other combinations of level 3, 4, and 5. If you look at not the first one, but the second, third, fourth build, and the fifth build where we have critical boost 4 and critical boost 5, there's nothing, it doesn't beat crit boost 2. In all the other additions I put here, they don't beat it. So why are you promoting a build that actually isn't good or the best? It's not the best. In fact, level 5 is terrible, level 4 is terrible, level 3 is terrible, level 2 is the best. What makes the Lucky Lunar New Year mask even worse is that it was from the Lucky Lunar New Year event earlier in 2024. There's no guarantee that event will return anytime soon. You also surrender lock-on in some cases, which is a bad idea for Wex users. If you're using weakness exploit, you must target a weak spot in order to even proc it. If you aren't good at targeting it, or if you can't target in general, you're not going to get that bonus. It's a waste. So essentially, you're going to waste whatever levels you have in there to begin with. Always have lock on when you have weakness exploit. Unless you're just an absolute god out there with full aim mode, like I mentioned, it's totally not worth giving up lock on for just extra damage in general, because like I mentioned, to use weakness exploit, you must hit a weak spot in general. And to close this off, Driftsmelt builds are also extremely time consuming and expensive. Promoting builds that aren't proven by data is a terrible practice and spreads misinformation. I have almost 100 Driftsmelts, yep, 100. And I'm almost at my first Drift Gem. I don't have my full build yet for one of my builds. I have 3 out of 5, which I still consider extremely lucky, but even at almost 100 Driftsmelts, I don't have a full Driftsmelt build for one of my main builds. But it is important to consider that when a major update is out soon, to hold off on Driftsmelt builds until the new content releases. You never know whatever comes next as far as the next season and the next batch of content. If there's going to be something really good, that's going to be inclusive into what we have now. So again, hold off until new content releases. However, the only exception to this rule are builds you use the most or super weapon builds. Like the example, of course, the Black Diablos bow / Cero Coil Bender. That's going to still be good even after Season 2. So even if something else comes that's really good, guess what? This is still going to be super good as well. So, if not, in fact, it might even still be the best. So unless it's a super weapon, unless it's a build you use the most, consider where you put your Driftsmelt stones into. Because like I mentioned, even after almost 100 Driftsmelts, 100, I still don't have a full build for one of my builds yet. Please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. It took a lot of number crunching, etc., and spreadsheeting in order to put this together. So, I would really appreciate it if you do send me some support by just subscribing and like commenting, etc. But yeah, with that being said, I wish you the best of luck in your Driftsmelt slots and rolling for what you need, because it's a hard world out there and we all pray to RNGs so that we get what we want sooner or later. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.